Welcome to Really Interesting People. How are you feeling today?
I'm excited. I think when you came to my house, that you talked about wanting to start a podcast.
Literally, yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's cool. But you know how people talk about starting something and then they never see it through? But so it's like so cool to like, one, that you're doing it, and two, like that I'm one of your first guests. I'm like, so excited.
You are literally the first interview I'm doing.
I'm so excited.
Whether or not this is the first episode, who knows? But you are the first
moment to record
the first.
Yes.
You get to wear that crown. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
I am literally so excited to talk to you and get to know you more because we've known each other for now like 3 years? Something like that.
So, yeah.
It's been pretty much since we moved here. So
I think 3 years.
Yeah. So let's go back to the very, very beginning.
Yes.
What was it like being Carter back in the day? Because obviously you have a very interesting story.
Yeah.
So let's go all the way back.
Oh my gosh. I've actually never, like, that specific way you just asked that question, I've never actually been asked that. So that's actually really kind of interesting.
I mean, I feel like you've always been Carter.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it took a little time to be
actually named Carter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know. I think that I feel like finding out who I was took a lot of more time than, because I was come from a conservative family upbringing and not really understanding like my feelings and why I felt different and why I didn't feel like everybody that I was growing up with, I was seeing them act in the stereotypical society-based way, and I'm like, I don't feel that way though. That's so weird. So I dive into that and dive deep into that.
Yeah.
I think for me, should we just say I'm trans?
Oh yeah. For the people who don't know, Carter Ray. There will be a whole intro that will be there, but yes. For the people who don't know, Carter Ray is a trans man out and proud. Okay, so where did you grow up?
I grew up in Glendora, so it's on the outside of LA. Probably about, give or take, depending on traffic, could be anywhere from an hour drive to an hour and a half.
Okay.
Towards the Inland Empire.
Is it so you said it was very conservative over there,
yeah,
so it is?
Yeah, very conservative, very my dad's a pastor, my mom's a missionary.
Oh, fucking shit.
So there's that. Literally, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, we're going to get into that.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was where I grew up, and very small town, kind of everybody knows everybody. Everybody knew my family because of, my dad being who my dad is and my mom being who my mom is. And my mom also was missionary, but then when she was home, she was also one of the main substitute teachers for all the districts. So
damn, they were everywhere.
They
did not separate church and state.
They did not. Absolutely did not.
Okay. And so what, if you don't mind, what was your name before Carter Ray?
So it's my given name was Victoria Rose.
Okay.
Which actually I personally like the name. It has nothing.
It's a pretty name.
It had and girl Victoria. Let me just say, no, she. It just wasn't me. Like it didn't fit. But everybody always called me Tori. So for a while I thought maybe I would keep that. I was like, it just, I was also like, I think at the time too, I felt like I would have to keep the letter the same for a long time. So I was like V. I was like trying to think of a V name. I'm like, Victor?
The only one I can think of is Victor.
I'm like, that's not really fitting, me. I'm like, I was like, no. Then I was like, the T names, there was a few that I ran through and I was like, they just didn't, work. And then I was like, could I keep Tori? I was like, no, it's just too attached to, like, I wanted to change mine. I was like, there has to be something different. And then my middle name though, Ray was everyone in my family's middle name starts with R, like the letter R. So I wanted to keep that aspect of it. I know. And then my dad's middle name's Raymond, so I just shortened it. And then Carter, finding my first name was actually like crazy. Like, name yourself is like really it's really hard because you're like literally thinking of like what is your name, and I feel like that was a journey because I had a few names picked out in my head, but like none of them were like, okay, like that's solid. I thought a lot of names were cool because it's fun to like think of like, oh, if I had to name myself, what would it be like? And then you think of these like.
Do you remember names. Any of the names?
Yeah. Well, it was actually weird because growing up, like when you asked about like how did I find out that I felt this way?
Yeah.
I would play house with my cousins and my friends, and I always was like, I'm the dad. Like I would be the dad. Like, and then it was like, my mom, everyone thought I was so cute because they thought I was a tomboy. They're like, oh my God, like you're just so bossy and you just want to be in charge. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Like,
but more than that.
Hello.
But yes. But so but like then like now when I like started to put pieces together later on in life, I was like, that's why I did that. Like that makes sense. Like, but I was always Alex when I was playing house when I was a kid. Really weird. Yeah. Doesn't, I mean, I don't think it fit. No, and it did not. I think it was just because it was a name that was like, could be gender neutral at the time as a kid. So I would ask my cousins like, call me Alex. Like, I just like it. Cause like, and they're like, that's weird. Like, why? I'm like, I don't know. Like, but it wasn't enough to out me. I wasn't like, call me like, you know, something like Bill. Like,
yeah. Like, it wasn't Bob.
No, it wasn't Bob. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, but it was like, and so that was kind of like, that was when I was really younger. But then when I was actually like gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna change my name. I'm gonna socially like start my transition. Like that's where I started with my name. So what was I gonna pick?
And what age were you when you knew you wanted to change your name?
When it was like a serious, like I'm gonna like, I always like obviously in my back of my head was like, I wish my name was something different. Like, but I didn't connect with it. But then when I was I was 19, I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna like start thinking like on like a different name. And then really it was 20 when I was like, okay, I'm changing my name. Like this is what it's gonna be. Here I'm gonna go through these like little lists of names. The two main ones that I came down to, Tatum was going to be one of them because
that's a hot name.
The T name. I liked the T. But I got so attached to the name that I actually ended up writing a character in my short film. That was the very first film I ever made. Was the main character. I named him Tatum because I liked the name. So like, the character was portraying a little bit of my story. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So then I was like, now it's like a character that I played that like is like, I don't know that I would. You know, it was too script. Like I scripted it too much. So I was like, okay. So then I was like, I think it's between Baylor.
Oh.
Baylor was like the top name, and Carter. Reason being, Carter was the name that my mom and my dad were going to name me if I was born male. So I was like, that like kind of like, I felt like it made sense because I was just like, okay, like. That's kind of who I was supposed to be, or like, you know, trying to like find a name too that like I knew my parents were gonna actually like, so it would have been a little bit easier for them to start calling me that. Yeah, which I think is kind of like, it's hard because like you shouldn't pick the name for your parent, like for your parents' sake, because they didn't pick it for me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, like literally, like it's so crazy that we can't even like get a one name change like for free.
Yeah,
like
a token. Exactly. Okay.
Non-default mode.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. Like literally, I was like, okay. So what I did, because I couldn't decide. But I knew my middle name was gonna be Ray, so I was like, okay, Baylor Ray and Carter Ray, like they can kind of okay. And so what I did is I had my two closest friends for 2 weeks overly call me Baylor, like over. And then same thing with Carter. And by the end of it, like I was like, it's Carter. Like it just made sense. Also, thank God, because my brother and my sister both ended up going to Baylor University.
I was just about to say, I'm from Texas.
Yes.
So
yes.
So like Baylor, that was where my brain went. I went there for a band competition.
And like at the time, like they were still in high school. Like my siblings were, so like that wasn't even like a thought. But I was like, oh my God, can you imagine? Because like then my parents like later on have like all the Baylor flags out at the house. I'm like, oh my God, imagine that was my name. Like that'd be so weird and so awkward, and like people like it would just been weird. And then I was like, okay. And then that's kind of just how Carter really just felt correct. And also my brothers are Taylor and Parker. So Baylor was too close to Taylor. Yeah. And Taylor, Parker, Carter just kind of like made sense. And then my sister's Maddie, so it's just like she's a little out of pocket. But okay.
She's an outlier.
Yeah, she's crazy.
Oh my God. Okay, so your parents, that is an interesting story on its own. But what was your life growing up like in school? Like, you was it as early as you can remember that you were like, you know, gender dysphoric?
I think it's actually crazy because I went to public school all the way till freshman year. And I wasn't like, I wasn't like I didn't get expelled or anything, but I was like not like I wasn't I was a goofball. Like I was always getting in trouble like with the teachers like in my freshman year, because I think I was just trying to distract from what I was going through, and I was trying to just like be the funny. Like I wanted so badly just for people to think I was funny, to like mask and like distract from like what I was really dealing with. So like if they thought I was funny and they thought I'm all good, then like I'm okay. And like it's getting that attention that like everyone of course wants a little bit of validation, but it was like in the way of like I was struggling really hard like book smarts, because like studying and like I had really bad reading comprehension, and I struggled with that my whole life actually, which is crazy. That like I love writing now. It's like, you know, it's just it's in a different way, and I feel like it was hard for me to get any validation with like, you know, how my siblings were super smart and super like just had everything going on and stuff like that. And then I was just like, okay, well at least if I'm not getting my attention like from, oh, I'm so proud of you, like I can at least get like validation from my peers, like thinking I was funny and cool, and cool to be around. Yeah. So that was in like high school. Then freshman year I was like just causing a ruckus, and like my parents were like, yeah, like we gotta like figure this out. So they sent me to Christian school. Oh no. Yeah. And that was I was at Upland Christian Academy, and that was towards the IE, and I, you know, very small class. It was like we had like 35 in our graduating class. But I actually was like, when freshman year I was excited to go, surprisingly, because I felt like everybody there was so tight, so closely knit, like everybody knew each other. And I kind of like, I liked that aspect of things because I grew up in the church, because I grew up in that environment already where we're all so close and we all have this like cliquey moments. But then like when you're in it and you actually are so involved, like I was almost like blinded by all like the toxicity that is also underlining. And then I'm like, no, this is great. Like, this is cool. Like, we're all great friends, and, you know, but then when I started displaying like, you know, any sign, any little bit of masculinity, like in any way, like it was like really shut down really quickly. I think that I tried really hard to be feminine though for a while, because I was like, if I like hyper feminize myself, like maybe I'm just not trying hard enough. Maybe I'm not trying, you know, to enjoy being a woman like hard enough. And if I do it like literally to the extreme, like maybe I can find like happiness in doing so. And so I think I tried that for a while, like up until like probably till like middle senior year. And then I think it was weird because I knew I had attraction to women, and that was also because gender and, you know, sexuality.
I was going to ask, did you identify as gay or lesbian?
I did after high school though, because my high school, they would expel you if you were gay.
Oh my God. Is this the Christian one?
Well, it was literally written into their like policies. So that's actually how I was outed.
Jesus. Okay. Wait, hang on. Back up. Wait, hang on.
It's crazy.
Okay. First off, hang on. Whenever you said you were acting out in freshman year or freshman year or so, what does that mean? What were you acting out on? Because as a difficult child myself, I would love to know.
No, that's so funny because like it wasn't even acting out in like a like, oh, I'm gonna go and like I wasn't like going and doing drugs, and I wasn't like doing all these things. Like it wasn't like that. I was like, I just was a class clown. Like I would literally, oh my God, this is so stupid. And so like, oh my God. Like,
oh my God, were you a risk it for a biscuit?
Oh yes. Yes. Like I literally I brought like squirt guns to my classroom, and like when the teacher would turn around, I would like squirt the teacher, and then like it was like childish.
Honestly,
like I was just like,
we would have been friends.
Oh my God. I'm like, should we still go do that? I'm like
why that's fun.
No, and then like, this is like what really was like, okay, like there's a problem here. It was like, before class, like I went to the downtown, like our downtown, like England, or I went to the pet store, and I bought like a bag of crickets, and I like put them in my backpack. Fucking, I'm so weird. Like, and then like in science class, I like let them out and like let them just like hop around. And like they were like, okay, what is going on? And then some little prick, had to like tell me. And it was like,
okay, I thought we would have been friends, but you did that. That is out. Like, at least it wasn't spiders though, because that would have been
spiders.
sadistic.
I don't mess with spiders. No.
Okay, good.
And I don't even mess with crickets.
Yeah,
I just,
but
like,
you did it for the fucking plot.
No, I was freeing them.
But they probably all got smushed, Carter.
Well, they were gonna get eaten.
I mean, that's fair. You know what? You really let them. I gave them a chance. You said survival of the fittest, bitch. Welcome to real life.
Here you go. I'm giving you the second
chance.
And
that was the moment when your parents are like,
yeah, and they're like
Christian.
They're like
school.
Christian school now.
So your dad is a pastor.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How was y'all's relationship then?
Yeah. When that happened, how I came out kind of ties into that with my school, because that kind of like was why he reacted the way everything did. And I had known I liked girls, like I said, and so I was still in high school, and I was seeing someone, and it was like when you first like find the very first time you meet somebody that you actually like have like these like feelings towards whatever, that are different than I would see all of my friends, like all my girlfriends like have like all these big crushes on these guys and like be like, oh my god, like, and they would like light up when they would talk about someone, and I was like, I've never felt that way like with any guy like ever. So I was kind of like, okay, like that's weird. But then when I felt that way towards a girl, like I was like, this I think is what that is. So like it was like made sense.
Yeah,
it was like, okay.
How old were you when that first happened?
I was 16. Okay. I was like 17 actually. And I was kind of like, okay, so this is what it is like to like somebody, When that happened, I had a hard time because I couldn't tell anybody about it. Because of not just like shame and like the religion side of things that I was taught that was like not okay, and like this whole thing, and also because I could get expelled. It was really hard, and I think I kept that inside for a long time. And then and also to the person I was seeing, went to my school but had graduated already. Like she had like we met through, she was like the school like at like legend, like athlete, Bible leader, like the whole idolized. And basically she told me like, if you ever tell anybody, like I will never speak to you again.
Yeah, because it would be fucking up her whole life.
Yeah. She was like that person that goes back to like high school. It's like cringy. I'm like,
oh, she's still going back. She's like celebrity. She's like, give me my flowers.
Like the homecoming. She's the one that's like literally. I'm like,
she's the school
she's the one that goes back and like visits the teachers during lunch. I'm like, who the those kids that would do that? I'm like, okay. What?
Kiss ass.
Kiss ass. But like I was like, oh my god, like, so I obviously would not tell anybody. But then like I think when my feelings got so intense, I like you almost like need to just like just say tell somebody. So
especially in high school, everething's so dramatic.
So confusing. It's so dramatic, and I'm like, I need to share this with someone. So then like I told like my two like close friends, and at the time, and somebody in that was like. Someone had actually overheard the conversation, apparently. But I was sitting in class and I got called into the office, and my principal sat me down and was like, hey, like, this is something that we heard, and like, I'm letting you know, like, this is what's like, and I was like, oh, like, that's not true. Like I would never.
Yeah, no, never.
No, what in the hell? I was like, no. And so I'm like, no. And so she was like, okay, like thanks for like the chat moment. I was like, okay,
yeah,
bye. And then I like left, and then me and the girl I was seeing, like we had like driven. She was like so close with my family. Like my family was like, she would do it. We were besties.
I mean, yeah.
And so when I got to my parents' house, they were like, we need to talk to you both like on the patio. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, my dad's like, this is the school called us. Like this said that this is going on with you guys, and it was like so awkward. I was like, oh no, like that, no. So then. Obviously she knew that like I had said something to somebody somewhere, whatever. So they asked her to leave. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go for a walk. And then she called me, was like, where are you? And then I was like, oh. Yeah. So it was this whole messy, like sticky thing. Cause I then went back to school and I told my friends that I told details about like, oh, like that like was actually just a lie. I made it up. Like, because like I just and they're like, you're crazy. Like are you okay? Cause I would give details about things that happened between us. Like,
yeah.
So I just did that just to like save my face in that moment. But then once I graduated, in that moment, it's so funny because like the girl, she's like so gay now, out and proud of it. She's
that's how it always happens.
I'm like, you know what? We were part of each other's like coming out story. Good for you, girl.
You know what?
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were able to accept.
Stay away from me. Thank you.
Bye. But really, I'm like, that's so funny. I was like, okay, but I think that was hard though because I had to like really lie about who I was for so long, and then once graduation happened though, I was like, I never really said though that I was gay. Because I never really felt gay. I just think that that label was put onto me because of what it was. I mean, it's like, okay, you're like, yeah, you're a girl and you like girls, so you're gay. And I'm like,
yeah. So
of course it's like easy to like just be like, I guess that's, you know, what it is. But I was never like, I'm gay, because it was just like and it wasn't anything like, it was just like, it didn't feel right to me. Like I would.
Your gut was not happy.
Yeah, like the first girlfriend that I had that I was like out with, that like we were like publicly out and everything like that. Like she, like her and I would get often like people would be like, oh, like you and your boyfriend, like da da da, like we're to her, and it would make me feel good. And then they'd be like, oh wait, I mean, sorry, so sorry. I thought like because of just how
you're like, no, correct it.
It was correct, but like it at the time I didn't know what it meant to be trans, so I just think it was like, I was like, why do I get so like this feeling when somebody mistakes me for a guy, because that's how, oh sorry ma'am, I'm like, no, I'm like
yeah,
no, like,
what
it felt
what was supposed to feel wrong felt right, and what was supposed to be right felt wrong.
Yeah, and I think that that was like, that whole moment was really like eye-opening for me. But when it came circling back to my father that you were answering, talking about, when my dad, when it came to me, you know, just not transitioning yet, but just liking women and living with them at the time, I think like that was something that almost, it was like, we know that you're gay, like whatever, but like you're not gonna like, we don't want to like bring attention to it. So anytime I had a girl, and like my first girlfriend I was like out with and stuff like that, like it was just like, we don't ask about, like we don't talk about it, I go and do my thing over here, and that's that. And it was really hard because like I was like in a relationship for a while, like as it was my first like serious relationship, and they didn't know her at all, so it kind of was like, dang, like you know. But when I came out as trans, that was a very hard situation with my family.
I can imagine,
because one, I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't even know what it meant to be trans, because I had no education. I had no idea. When I found out when I put the pieces together on my own, I think it was the year I was 20. No, sorry. I just turned 20, and I spent that entire summer literally like locked in my bedroom on my computer researching anything and everything I could find out about being trans. Like, can girl become boy? Like, can da 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 da? Like, you know, and it was like, and the first movie I saw was Boys Don't Cry, and
great movie,
amazing movie, but terrifying as a trans person to watch when you have no other resources, because it's a real story, it's a true story, and it's scary, you know, to like think like, if I transition, is my life gonna be this? And not because it is a real story, and honestly, like it was something that did put a lot of fear into me. And so I was like, oh, so I kind of like hid in this moment, like of like, what does this mean for my life? And like, you know, but then when I got so sucked into like, it consumed me. I almost feel like I felt like in that time frame of like my life, I felt like everyone else that I knew was like out doing this and like having a good old time doing that. I'm over here like consumed by the thought of becoming a man. Like I literally like could not like stop thinking about it. I'm like, this is not like something that I feel like people like just go through all the time. So how do I deal with it? And then I did a lot of research, and I knew, I'm like, that is exactly what, like when I found out what it meant to be trans, when I finally had the words, I was like, that's it. That is who I am. Like and I felt like there was nothing, I knew I like wasn't going to not transit. I was like, I have to do this, you know? And that with my parents, though, I was living with them at the time. I was under my dad's insurance, but I was an adult. So they, the doctors like weren't going to call and like tell my parents anything, but that was really hard because I went and I saw the doctors on my own, and got started hormone therapy, without my parents knowing. And for like, I think I was on it for like 2 months, and then I had my top surgery scheduled. I came out to my parents though that I was transitioning, and my mom was like, sorry,
take your time.
When I came out to them, I hadn't started hormones. They were like, no, you're not a man. Like, what does that even mean? I'm like, I don't like, and I had nothing, no research to give them, no knowledge, because I didn't even know. I was just trying to explain it in the way I could, and they still were like, what does that mean? And my mom was like, okay, how about my mom, my mom, everyone on my mom's side, like they've all had breast reductions, like tickle bitties, like, you know, come on, tickle bitties. Like, so I myself had tickle bitties. So my mom was like, no, like, you're not trans. Like, maybe you just want a breast reduction like me. Like, that's how I felt. Like, because my mom's also tomboy. My mom is like very adventurous, very crazy. Like, but she was like, no, like, maybe you just want a breast reduction. And in her head, I think at the time, because she was scared, I think she's like, if I give help you get a breast reduction, like you won't become a man. Like, you know? So I'm like, but at the time I was like, I'll take what I can get. Let's go. Let's go. If I can do that, like, I'm like,
bye.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. So she was like, but if we do this, like, I never want to hear about this, like, transitioning situation again. I'm like, yeah, no. Okay. Yeah, sure. So I actually did have a breast reduction, done. That was, I went from literally a triple D to an A.
Damn.
Yeah. And then that actually was like the most, like, I think that's when I like, it solidified everything. It was like, because I was like, it's not enough. But I was like, this is not enough. Yeah. Because what girl goes from that to that and is like, more. And, but I was like, I felt like I couldn't say anything. I couldn't talk about it because my mom, we made the deal, you know? Yeah. And, so I was like, I can't come back out again. So I kind of was like, fuck. So I ended up, that's when I then did the hormones without telling them. And because I knew that if my dad found out any surgery or hormones, like, he would just like take me off.
And how old were you when you got the breast reduction?
Yeah, so I was 18 when I had the breast reduction. 18, right out of high school. So
this is before that 20-year-old. Okay, and then so you got out of high school and was like, I got to get rid of these titties. I
was like, this isn't not it. Well, I kind of yeah, exactly. I was like, something's wrong. I feel like maybe I don't want, like, I don't know.
Were you like wearing baggier clothes? Did you rap? Like, yes. Did you do all of that? I
did all of that even prior to the breast reduction. I wore a binder, which honestly is like the worst, especially in the heat. Like, it's really bad for your body. It's really actually could damage your organs. Like, it's very dangerous if you are doing it, you know, for so long and there's not the right kind. And
especially if you have really big boobs, right?
It's bad for your lungs. Yeah, it's especially that. Like, it literally pushes down, like, because you pull it over, so it's just like, and I'm like, oh my god, it was very like uncomfortable. And that though, even alone that, like, I was like, why do I do this though? Like, it didn't, but you know, I didn't understand. But when I had after the breast reduction and it still wasn't enough, I was like, I got to do something. So that was crazy because that was when really everything kind of blew up into flames, because I didn't tell them that I was having surgery. I didn't tell them about the hormones, because I just was like, I'm going to have the surgery first. So it's like, there's not, at that point, I can't return them. You know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
So like, it's done.
Ask for forgiveness later kind of thing.
And actually, like, legit, like, that's what I did. I left a letter for my mom and my dad under my bed. And I told them that I was going on vacation with my friend to San Diego. And my friend, so my friend Kinsey, she was one of my best friends. She, you know, took me actually to the surgery, took care of me afterwards. I waited till I got back to her house, and I was like recovering. I was still like way out of it, had my, you know, drains in and everything. And I said, hey mom, like, there's a letter for you under my bed. And then the letter literally was saying like, by the time you read this, like, I've already had surgery, and you know, I really hope that you can, you know, see that, like, that this really is like important to me. And I'm willing to take whatever consequence, that is. And she was like, and I didn't hear from her for a little bit. And the next day she was like, I love you, come home. I was like,
how long between that time was it?
That was a day. So like, I sent her that later. I was like, okay. I was like, oh my God. Like,
but at this time, your dad still didn't know.
Oh no, it was a letter to my mom and my dad.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And, when I got home, I kind of thought, okay, maybe this is a wake up call for her. Like maybe she's like, oh my God, like my kid like literally had surgery, like without like, like that's kind of like,
it's real.
Yeah, like, okay, like this is happening.
I gotta get on board. I mean, the train's already leaving.
It's gone. It's the thing gone. It's already, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so like, I'm gonna go and like talk to her and like, maybe this is good. Well, I got to my parents' house and I was still wrapped up. I was still like heavily medicated, and I walked in the door and my mom was like, I'm so disappointed in you. Like, that was what she first said. And I didn't say anything. I was like, and I went to the bathroom and then I showered for the first time actually after surgery. And I remember I went back out and I was like, I looked at her and I was like, you know what? Like, no, like I'm disappointed in you. I was like, for the first time in my life, I took a shower. I mean, not the first time. First time I took a shower. Wow, good for you. No, I took a shower and I looked myself in the mirror and I saw someone who I loved and I was proud of, and my own mother is disappointed in me. Like, you don't get that. And so she, of course, like that just made her more mad, and she got in this whole moment, and she's like, then you can like leave basically. And so I was like, okay, fine. So I packed my 4Runner up. I got all my stuff, and I was staying in my car. When I was recovering, I was like, it was really hard because it was also it was hot, and like, and also too, I had so many friends that were so supportive of me, but you
didn't want it. You wanted your family.
I didn't, and also too, like, I didn't want to tell them my friends what was going on, really, because it's like almost this sense of like pride, like that I'm like, oh, like I don't want to be the trans kid that like is just like, this and that, but that's real, and like, but I just felt like I didn't want to do that. I was so embarrassed about it, and looking back, I'm like, man, like I had so many people that would have like, I've been there for me, but it was just too much to like, if my parents can't, like,
it's a personal journey at the end of the day, and like personal journeys are not clean at all. No. In fact, they usually tend to be almost detrimental and very messy. Yeah. But that's how we become who we are. And I think like, I would love to know when you started the videos, because that's, I think that is really where you started the journey. Yeah. And that is whenever I feel like how you gained the confidence. When did that start?
So that actually is crazy, because when I was figuring out what it meant to be trans and whatever, I was like trying to figure all that out. I was researching a lot, and I didn't see a lot of like information basically. So I ended up actually was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to document my journey, and I'm going to put it on YouTube, so maybe it'll help somebody the same way I was. So I started actually documenting my transition. I started from the very first shot I ever took of testosterone, and I showed the process and everything like that. And I documented my journey like pretty frequently throughout the first 2 years, and showing like what that looked like. And I think that was like really something that also was for other people for information, but also too for myself to look back and be like, wow, like, because sometimes you don't realize like how much you've evolved and changed, like, know, and it's like, man, it's nice to have like just record of it in a sense. And it is nice to sometimes go back. I'm like, oh my God, like, I remember when I would like see, people that had been, in their journey for a while, and I'm like, I can't wait to be there. Now I'm like 10 years in. It's like, it's been crazy. And I think though too, by the way, me and my parents are actually very close now. Okay. And I think that's the difference is, for me, it was seeing my mom actually do the work and my dad do his work. And as a pastor too, like, he really like, 2 years, like, go by, and my mom's like, hey, like, I'm looking for Carter. Like when she called, and I'm like, your mom's voice. So I knew it was her. I was like, this is Carter. She didn't recognize my voice. So she was like, oh my gosh. Like but the fact that she said Carter that alone, for me, I knew, I'm like, okay, like
starting off on the right foot.
Yeah. Cause like that was the thing. She was like, I will never call you my son. I will never call you this. Da, 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 da. I'm like, okay. So that alone was like, okay, like I'm gonna give us a moment and see this through. So we went and got lunch, and like I could see, like, and the thing is, like, she wouldn't say things correctly sometimes the way she would ask me, but I always say to everybody, I'm like, it's always about the intention.
Absolutely.
If her intention is to learn and to, you know, because trust me, I get asked by my really good friends things that are offensive sometimes, and I'm like, they're not, it's not, it wasn't worded properly, but I don't care, because I know it's coming from a place of love. And I will tell them too, like, hey, like, I love that you asked me this. Like, if you ask somebody else this, they might take it this way.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But like, I feel like sometimes as a community, like, we have to be willing to like be patient and loving, and understand the intention where a question's coming from, because how can somebody learn from like saying the wrong thing without somebody being kind enough to like cancel culture? We were talking about, which like sometimes it's necessary depending on what it is, but also it's the intention. It's the intention. It's like the place that they're coming from.
What you do now does not always determine who you are in 20 years, 30 years. Exactly. And I think also one of the things that is so beautiful is that you allowed your parents to have the time to be better. You didn't hold them to who they were back then. You allowed them to meet you where you were at, because, you know, in their defense, you are a completely different person than they knew growing up.
I'm not the idea of me that they had. Like,
I mean, in a lot of ways, you're not even the person.
No, and I'm not. And
like, you're a completely different kid.
Yeah, and I told my mom, I'm like, and I say this often too, I'm like, I think a big thing for me to like put into perspective is to realize, like, I wasn't the only person transitioning. And I think that is the best way to say it, because, you know, like, my mom had a transition of her own. Like, she had to relearn, like, you know, because my mom too had a lot of like, she blamed herself for her parenting style, because people, you know, in the church, of course, would be like, oh, like, what did you do wrong? Like, you could have done this more. And then my mom would question how she's like, should I have not put you in sports? Like, what was it? And like, there is nothing that you could have done to prevent this at all. You know, but now it's so funny, because my mom is able to, like, we laugh now about things. Like, she's like, oh my God, remember when you were my daughter? That was so weird. Like, you know, it's like, it's like, because we've allowed that, we've had that moment. It doesn't have to be as like these heavy, we had to have those conversations back then. And I had to, like, you know, it was hard, because I wanted to, like, in the beginning stages, I was like, you know, I forgave her. We're trying to move forward and grow, sure. But then she would do something that would just like really like upset me. It had nothing to do with being trans or anything like that. But like, I would just attack her, like, you know, you weren't there for me during da da da. And she's like, whoa, like, that had, like, why are we going back? I'm like, that's not fair. That's not fair. Like, if I want to, if I want to
grieving though, it's grieving the relationship, and there is the stage of anger and explosive anger. I'm going through it with my family right now, and it's just like, I think, like, what's so beautiful about your story right now is, like, you stayed true to who you are this whole fucking time. You did not allow anyone to knock you down. You knew that every single fucking moment was yours, and you were not gonna, like, you know, stop. And I think that is a message within itself. And not only that, but I've watched a lot of those videos that you were putting up, and yes, you can see a lot of pain in their eyes, but you can tell that you wanted to be more, and you could see that future no matter how hazy it was. And I think it's beautiful watching that first video to the person standing right in front of me. It's like, that is growth. That is what everyone wants, whether it be a transition or not. We all, in one way or another, obviously not like yours, but like
transitioning from one to
and another. I think it's beautiful that you were able and knew enough about yourself, because there's so many people that may not have the confidence, the support, the necessary things that would need. And I want to know though, because I keep hearing you talk about your mom, how was your pastor dad in all this?
My dad, actually, I think for him, I think he had I think it was easier for him to accept me than it was for my mom, because and I think my dad always like wanted to be supportive of me, but it was hard because when your wife is like, you gotta like, you know, it's like he had to like find that moment. But I think that for my dad, you know, I'm not religious anymore because I had my own experience, and
absolutely.
but I still went back to my dad's service, you know, afterwards, after, you know, years had gone by, because they were trying, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna support them, you know, the way that I want them to support me. So I'm just gonna go, and, you know, and I remember sitting there because everyone knows my family. Obviously, he's the pastor. Like, they know we're that, and everyone knew.
And
I'm
sure you're the freaking talk of the town.
Yeah, I was that one. Like, you know, it's like, you know, so
you
it's
had
like,
a scarlet letter T on your fucking chest.
Yes, I did. Trons, and like I was like really weird because I knew everyone's like looking at me because like I was like, you know, PK. I was, you know, and I was like pastor's kid sitting here, and like now I have a full beard, and they're like, what is, like, you know, it's crazy.
Who the fuck is this?
And like my dad, I remember saying, like, he's like, I know there's like this elephant in the room, like, you know, my kid is like, you know, here, and like I just want everyone to know, like, that's Carter, that's my son, and if anybody has a problem, like, there's the back door, like, you can excuse yourself. But
what? Hang on.
Yeah.
Kudos to him.
No, yeah.
To stand in front of his fucking congregation. What is it called? A congregation? I'm not religious.
It's something
his
like
people.
That. His peeps.
And
his
say that. What was going through your head in that moment?
I felt in the moment, I felt really like
did you
kind of like
shrink in your, because I would have.
I was like, but also there was this level of like, I was proud of him because even though I'm not religious, I can respect someone who is, you know, true to what they believe in and what they say. And if it means that, like, you know, in what my father's teaching is like about love, and and a lot of you know, religious and Christian, like that, oh, it's about love. It's like, but you're not showcasing that the way that like you should, and like that's not really what love means. So like, but when that happened, I think that really shaped the way I viewed my dad, because I saw like, okay, like he is like true to what he says. And you know, there were people that did get up and excuse themselves, people that I've known for years, and that really hurt, you know, me, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm causing my father to lose these people. And my dad, and I said that to him, I said, Dad, I'm so sorry, like so and so. He's like, no. He goes, those people are not people that I want, like, in our circle and our da-da-da. And he was like, he basically said in his service though too, he's like, because he goes, the God I love, you know, that we talk about, like, he would never turn his back on his children, so why would I do the same? And or like, why would I do that, you know? And I think even though I'm, like I said, not religious, it still meant a lot to me, because then the next week actually he had like you know, he actually had more people come that were queer, because you know, they would go and tell their friends, and like, oh yeah, our pastor's cool, da da da. But like, it's still like it meant a lot to me, just because I could tell that he did his work that on his side. And now it's actually funny. He's a pastor, yes, but he also is an architect, and he does a lot of work for with Phillips 66, like their layout in gas stations and stuff like that. So for Southern California, and he called me, he always calls me, he's like, hey, we're doing a training, you know, with the you know, or whatever, and that we're doing like an LGBT training moment, like how to respond properly. Like, is there anything that I should like know and like tell people how to, you know, treat, you know, like anyone who's an employee that's trans, or like, you know, just like really. And I like that. I'm like, because because he's just trying. He's like trying to better,
in such like a dad way. Like
you know,
I love it.
And he's like the one now, like, that's on these calls, like in the meetings. He's like, well, my kid's trans, and you know, when this happens, this is what we should, you know. I'm like, okay. So, and I love that. I think it's like really sweet. And my dad is like a really just overall like great human being. I really am. It's crazy. People meet my parents and they're like, there's no way that they were not supportive of you. I'm like, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. That just shows that like it's
possible.
It's possible with the ability to like open your mind and like learn and listen to people's experiences. And I feel like we all have to do that, you know, because we all live different lives. Like, I won't know, even a trans, like not every trans person has the same story either.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's very, very different.
And trans men are very different from a trans woman. And
there's whole,
well, I think it's so beautiful that you were able to do that. Now talk to me about how you got into acting, because you've done your own short films. You've been a very big activist, and obviously you do your own music too. So how soon have you always been doing that, or did it start once you kind of got into the middle of your transition?
I was always drama girl, always drama. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's go.
No, I always wanted to act and do film, but I didn't know anyone in the industry. I didn't know where to start with that, like, at all. I was like, you know, and also too, as a trans person, when I started acting, I was like, well, I'm not confident enough to audition for a man's role, and I also won't get cast in the men's role. Like, I wouldn't get that, and then I wasn't comfortable at all to play a female role. Like, it just didn't make. I'm like, so I was like, man,
what the fuck do I do?
I really was like, I guess I can't act. So then I was like, well, I'll actually cast myself and I'll write my own film and see where that goes. And so I I was in college and I was like penny pinching. I finally got on after like the car, when I was living in the car in my my old car. Like, I got on my feet. Was going to school. I was showering at the gym, and then like you know, going and just working, and then I got my like got a room for rent. This is way back when. This was like 10 years ago, you know. And then I kind of started. Then I was like, okay, now I'm like. Then I was penny pinching every little moment to save up a budget to shoot this film. I was like, I have to do this. Like, I have to have this happen. So I ended up writing it, and then finally got the funds to do what I needed to save up for to make the moment happen. And all the locations in my film actually were all shot at the actual locations that they actually occurred in my life. So that was like really cool. I like the softball field is the field that I grew up playing softball at. Yeah. The lake is where I grew up going to the lake. You know, like the bar is my hometown bar. Like, everything was really like authentic to the moment. And I really just I put the thing that the girl who produced it with me. She is a good friend of mine, and she was just like, I believe in the story. We're gonna just do it. And like, she helped. Her and I together really just like pushed it out and made it happen, and that kind of sparked everything to follow. I started making little scenes that I would film myself, because I was like, you know what, it's so expensive to do production. I'm like, what if I just save up enough money, just enough to buy like a decent like cinema camera, and then like that way, I'd rather save up and have that, and then I can have a bunch of content versus paying for the production, like this whole thing. And then I was like learning all these things, like teaching myself like different like film hacks and ways to make things look more elevated and expensive without having a budget. And I think that was like really fun for me. And I really wanted management at the time to help me, or an agent, someone to help guide me, because I didn't have anything. And I was like, well, I don't have anything to show them, so they don't know. So when my film came out, it did really well in the festivals. And then
it won awards, right?
It won Best Drama at Queer X with Reverie. It did a lot of good. And it also played in Australia and Amsterdam, and it played in a bunch of festivals. Yeah. It did really well. And then I ended up just after it did the circuit run with the festivals, I ended up just releasing it on YouTube for anyone to see, and it did really well, and I was really proud of that, and that was like my baby project. And then still wasn't really getting like, you know, because I didn't know how do I audition for, how do people hear about these things, what do you do, like how do you start? It's really hard. They don't
there's no way to know until the agents you fucking fall into it, or you just go to school, or you meet people who are doing it.
Connections, this whole thing. So I ended up just like being like, I'm gonna make my own reel, because also you need like an actor's reel. So I'm like, so I was like, I'm gonna write a scene that feel like, I'm gonna write like 4 scenes that feel like they're different characters, but I want to write it in a way where it like feels like it's pulled from the middle of like a TV series. And then I'll piece them all together, and like there's my reel, so that people are like, oh, like what show was he in here? There's no really like, you know, if you just started watching the middle of a TV show, you're like, who are these characters?
Exactly.
But it's like a story. There's something there. So that's what I did. with little to no budget, and really just me and like my friends, and I just knew how to make it look professional, and did that, and that got me my manager, and I'm still with her, and she's the best. But that's with film, and like I think too. Yeah. So I have my own production company now.
Yeah, like you have not. You've gone from the bottom, and now you have your own production company. You have several hundred thousands of followers. Like, bitch, you have literally built an incredible story. What is the one thing you wish people could take away from your story so far?
And I just,
or multiple things.
Yeah, I got that. Sounds good. No, I think it's important to like, to be patient towards yourself and loving towards yourself, and it's really frustrating. I still have to remember this too. Like when, you know, life is hard sometimes. Like people go through things, and I know that like I think regardless, like everyone has their thing that they deal with. You know, of course I come from a place with a lot of privilege, but I also do come from places that we all have struggles and things like that. And I think that being patient with yourself and just, you know, like let yourself go through the motions too. Like you don't have to put on that like face all the time. Like I mean, it happens for me all the time. Like I have, you know, when you and you know this too, you got to show, you know, in an hour, but you're going through some shit with your family, like you're talking about, or we're here today, and you got to do this interview, you know. It's like, but you got your own stuff going on. It's like, it's okay to sometimes like allow yourself to feel those feelings, but it is also like okay to like remember that you're gonna be okay. So it's like balancing those things and being able to still push through and do your dream job, your dream podcast, like we're doing now, or like you have a show that's a big deal, but like you're going through some shit. Like how do you like separate those head spaces? But sometimes it's like, it's okay that you're feeling the way you are, but also too, like you got to still like remember to like, this is also what you want, and you know, I'm gonna be okay, like at the end, no matter what. And it's hard because sometimes you just are like, how am I gonna get through this? This is crazy. Like, and I think also too, to be patient with other people, because that also causes frustration within yourself.
And also it's so frustrating to watch people not be patient with people and then wonder why they're disappointed or angry. It's like, you fucking set yourself up for this. You're not giving them the time.
There's this whole thing of like, it's not our job to like educate people, but I'm like, but it kind
how
of
the
is,
fuck are they gonna learn?
In my opinion, I'm like, it kind of is though. If you want it to a point, because here's the thing is like, if it's a trans topic, would I rather somebody ask a trans person the question, or someone who has no idea what they're saying, get the wrong information, and then
exactly, and then you have to overcorrect or whatever.
And that's why we're still here, girl. I'm like, that's why we're still stuck having these moments, because like that, because the people with the experience need to be the one sharing their story. Yeah, that's the other thing too with film. You got people doing trans storylines that should not. Yeah, like
we could have a whole damn episode about that. One last question for you. What is the best advice or motto that you live by? If you want, I can go first.
Go. I would love it. I would love to.
My motto that I live by is, it's never too late to be who you might have been. When I was growing up, it was on a pillow that was like up on our fucking like mantle or whatever the fuck, and I would stare at it all the time, and without even knowing, it became my motto. Like, it's never too late to be who you might have been. So what's yours?
This is so funny, because it's actually from a movie. I love it. And it's so cheesy, but it's like my favorite movie because it's just like my favorite. It's just a classic. But and you tell me if you know what the movie is. Okay. You may or may not. Never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game.
Oh, is this Angels? Not Angels in the Outfield. Angels in the Outfield or something. What is it?
It's actually no, it's actually from Cinderella's Story.
You're so right. I love it.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
Carter Ray, you are a really interesting person.
I love that. I love that.
Eventually, I'm gonna have merch that says really interesting person and with the arrow pointing up, and then you'll be the first one like you are today.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love this. Yeah. I love that you got to finally start this and do it.
It's been a long fucking time coming, and here we are.
And it's interesting people.
And one of them is done. Let's go.
Hey.